Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Daily Objective. And today is an emotional day for me and therefore for all of us. I'm leaving California. It's official. I made the decision and I followed through. As soon as we're done here today, I am deactivating my internet and dropping off the modem at the headquarter place, then loading up my car and hitting the road. I would like to thank you all for the encouragement. Some of you a little bit too excited to see me leave the most beautiful place in continental America. Frankly, I'm not sure what the motivation is. I hope it's entirely positive because you're tired of seeing good people like me be taken advantage of by bad people like California and its many inhabitants. Here to check in and talk about the whole prospect of leaving California. We did an episode before about leaving California. And we're going to revisit the topic now that there's been some progress. It's a guy who's been here his whole life and is for the first time maybe going to leave. It's Mark Pellegrino.
What's up, man?
Hey, you got your little one there. Looks like Mark Jr. What's the dog's
Frankie.
name?
Frankie, yeah, he's hanging out with me, but he decided to leave me and get a drink of water.
Wow.
So you're going to Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
Which was definitely one of my destinations. And then something happened to turn me off Texas completely. And why didn't that new legislation, that anti-abortion legislation, turn you away?
Well, for one thing, I already had my apartment lease in place when that happened. But also, I mean, look, I always knew Texans are insane. I always knew they're religious fundamentalists and they're out of their mind. But at the same time, it's like you got to pick somewhere to live in America. I want to live somewhere with no state tax. I want to live somewhere with some culture. So Austin is an artsy place compared to most cities, or most places you can move. So, I guess the reason Austin is so popular is because it's a nice blend of artsy, liberal, surrounded by red conservative, I guess. So they're kind of leftist, but they kind of know their place. And on the flip side, you got the conservatives who they can't do anything about this city. They can't do anything about these libs turning their Texas blue. But let me ask you, why would that turn me off of moving somewhere? Like, is that really a deal breaker for you to live somewhere? The fact that they have a law like that?
I think because they presume that it's expressing the popular will. That shows me that the populace at large doesn't really know what rights are all about. I mean, Ayn Rand was turned off by Reagan for the simple fact that he was quote unquote pro-life, anti-abortion. That was a litmus test for her. It's sort of a litmus test for me. In the end, even a small community of brilliant objectivists, and there are now brilliant objectivists, especially you now, going over there to sweeten the deal, to turn the tide a little bit. I don't know that it's enough. I mean, populism is the rage now in politics, and if that expresses the populism of Texas, it's not really a place I want to be.
So yes, I agree with the anti-populist sentiment. I've been, saying that as well for a long time. And I mean, look, I share your horror at the abortion bill in Texas. I hope it's not really indicative of the mood, but to the extent it is indicative of the perspective of a lot of Texans. I mean, this is why I've been telling people Republicans are not friends of liberty. So I could understand not voting Republican the way that Rand wouldn't vote for Reagan as a punishment for this policy, but to not live in a city which is by all accounts still the best hope, kind of still the best place for me to be spending my time if I need to leave California.
I mean, let's hope you have the means, should you get married or have a daughter, to exit that place. Should that time come for either of them, and that decision necessarily have to be made, you won't have the freedom to make it where you're living. And you would have to have the means to get away from there to do it. And that's just un-American.
It is un-American, but I don't take this bill as seriously maybe as I should, or as some people do, because it seems like they want too much too fast. It'd be like if they passed a law that says, everyone's paying 90% in taxes. It's like people would just kind of like, okay, well, no, but then it went to the Supreme Court, right? And they upheld it, the Texas abortion ban. So
Well, and one of the most insidious aspects of it, if I'm remembering it correctly, is the employment of private individuals to sue abortion providers. This is going to open the door. I mean, there are crazy private individuals and non-governmental organizations out of there, nonprofits, that are absolutely mad about this issue and probably chomping at the bit to really with women's health, or people who provide women's health, and particularly that service. So I see it as really disastrous on a lot of levels. Like, I mean, the rights violation aspects of it are the main ones, but the private enforcement is just sort of weird. It's like a stealth 1984 Stasi East German phenomenon, where they're employing citizens to do the dirty work of the government.
I mean, yeah, I can't overstate how horrific this bill is, including the vigilante element. And we did an episode, I guess it was Jonathan and I who did an episode in response to the bill. I mean, it's as bad as you describe, but to not move to a city where I want to live because of that, to me, just seems like I'm not being selfish enough. Like, if I want to live somewhere and I still think that for now it's the best place to live, knowing that if I'll need to get an abortion, I can get one. There's always going to be the freedom to get an abortion. They can't jail everybody. I mean, people are going to get abortions. So maybe I'm naive.
I'm just saying that, we know there are no isolated facts, and laws like this don't happen in a vacuum either. They happen within a massive context that suggests a huge disconnect, intellectual disconnect with respect to what individual rights are. And so that means it's going to bleed into other areas of legislation at some point or another. You may not be the targeted you may not be the targeted individual, but there will be more targets to come when people who think they have a popular mandate or an office have that level of disconnect.
I mean, yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. But okay, the Supreme Court approved this. Like, the Supreme Court of the U.S. approved this. Why are you still living in America then? Like, shouldn't your
I may not be.
Well, because shortly, you say.
Well, yeah. I mean, right now my wife is in another country, and when she gets back, and when we get back, in November, we're going to be searching for places, not only within the states, like you, trying to find the best possible state that meets the most requirements that we have, because we know it's not going to be perfect. And that also may mean going to Puerto Rico or Ireland or some place not on the United States.
Okay. I mean, Puerto Rico certainly makes sense from a financial perspective. I don't know if like U.S. law applies to Puerto Rico or not, or to what extent it does. But I mean, I guess your point, like emphasizing this abortion ban in Texas and suggesting that maybe Texas should not be lived in as a response to that, it kind of makes me wonder, well, maybe U.S. as such shouldn't be, if that's the way you see it. I mean, to me, what keeps me in America is the sort of culture that I know, and the culture that kind of inspired me growing up, and that I continue to sort of see myself as sort of involved in and wanting to kind of get to know better. And philosophically, America is still the greatest hope. Philosophically, as bad as it's getting with religion. And, we've discussed, religion versus skepticism. I mean, I like seeing you, noticing how detrimental religious rule is the more ground they get.
Yeah, but I do think skepticism is worse. Like, it's the left-right thing that, we might be discussing next week. Skeptics have total dominance in the culture, and there is an organizational aspect to religion that still attempts to put things into still tries to find the one in the many. It still tries to integrate knowledge. It still tries to, and it tries to find a unified or universal. It still tries to find universals, especially in terms of ethics. The skeptics don't go that way at all. They're completely disintegrated, and I see it increasing its dominance in the culture with social media. So it's like a delivery mechanism for skepticism. It's just a fast delivery mechanism. So I still am wanting to think secular skepticism is worse, and the worst enemy, the one that's really tearing us apart right now, and even probably somewhat affecting those people making the populist laws, for all I know.
Right. So with that in mind, I guess I don't see why the Texas abortion bill should prevent me from moving there for now. All things considered, it's like you got California looking like it is. Like if this is what the left is doing, maybe a conservative state is the better place to be right now, and especially an industrial southern state. Like it's the industrial South. They've got a lot more culture happening in a city like Austin and the other cities that are within driving distance. So there's a lot of things I could be doing there that I want to keep doing. Now you're leaving. You're still very much thinking of leaving California.
Yeah.
Now there's a great, and obviously finances are probably going to be a reason for that. It's a lot cheaper to live outside of California with taxes and with cost of living. But there is a great sale happening in California right now. I don't know if you know about this. CVS Pharmacy, everything's free up until $950. You just walk in, take it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay.
That could save that. That really adds up.
I keep forgetting that. I keep forgetting to go to my local CVS with my trash bag and just filling up on toothpaste.
I haven't seen that at CVS. They have like private security hired, but the CVS over by Beverly Center, somebody told me people just walk in there, they grab what they want for lunch, they just walk out, and no one does anything.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding. I didn't see it directly, but some friends who were very earnestly told me this is basically happening on a continual basis.
I think California is so depraved.
Yeah. So, it's like, where can we live? Where can I go? Do I go somewhere extremely dead and boring and live cheaply there? Or do I go to a place like Texas, which is showing some very troubling signs, but is still a good blend of like sense of life with rule of law as well. It's like, there's a very positive vibe. It's very musical. Austin is very musical, a lot of music happening there. It just seems like the place to be.
Maybe you objectivists can hone that sense of life and make it not just a sense of life, but a conscious commitment to specific values. So it's not so it's, you know what I mean? So it's not just something they feel, it's something they know.
Yeah, I hope so. Maybe things like this abortion ban will drive away a lot of people further away from religion. Even in a place like Texas, a lot of people will be like, "Are you serious?" And it will make atheism or a secular approach to the world much more attractive. There is a vibrant intellectual environment in Austin and probably in other big cities in Texas. So a place like University of Texas. Obviously, it's like the objectivist mecca. I think there's like the highest condensation of objectivist thinkers and professors and philosophers and fans of objectivism living in the area. So if there is a place to be, maybe that's the place, and maybe it might be for you as well, all things considered.
Would you go to university there?
I never really went to much school at all. I never graduated from anywhere. Or would I, or did I?
Would you?
Oh,
would you say?
I'm not really thinking of going to school again, but I'm definitely going to hang out and go to like public events that are open to the public. So.
Cool. If I were there, I might go to the university there, because I've been thinking about going to university again.
Oh, nice. Okay. What are you thinking of studying?
History. That's always, American history has been my thing. So I'd go back and get a degree in that, like I should have in my 20s.
That's so interesting. Do you think your schedule would permit that, being that it's so unpredictable?
I mean, now there's so many ways to study. It would be hard. It was even hard for me to do OAC, and comparatively speaking, it's probably a lot lighter workload. But I mean, if James Franco could do it, why can't I?
That's true. That guy smokes a lot of marijuana, from what I've heard.
Maybe that's what I need to do to, make sure everything fits into my schedule.
I was agreeing with, if he can do it, anyone can do it. Like, he's high.
No,
But yeah, if James Franco can do it, that's my approach.
I thought you were endorsing marijuana as a gateway means of increasing your productivity.
Some people, it strikes them a different way. Like, it actually wakes them up and makes them hyper focused. But people are different, I guess.
No, I'll try to take my pants off over my head. It wouldn't be pretty.
Oh yeah, well, not everyone would appreciate that in Texas, but you'd certainly be keeping Austin weird. But that's so interesting. It's like out of nowhere, you're like, hey, maybe I'm going to go to school. Well, but I think the time to do it is now. So can you give us a commitment here, like you're to move? Just say yeah. Come, you're an assertive, you powerful man. You can make a decision. Why don't you just make that decision here on the Daily Objective?
I've already made this decision to move. It's just now my wife and I have to put our heads together and figure out which place works for both of us.
Yeah. All right.
So there's going to be some compromises there, just like there are compromises for you, knowing this legislation's out there in Texas. But hey, there's all this great shit there too. I'm going to have to make some compromises with my wife, respecting the state we live in.
Right. I think the intellectual events and intellectual stuff happening in Austin is like a serious perk. So it's like it's like having like an ongoing conference there, basically. So I think I would definitely puts Austin high on my list of places to go. For sure. And you might consider going there. Wow. So we started off by you saying to me that I shouldn't be moving there because of the abortion thing. And now you're actually sounding like you might.
I was the devil's advocate.
That you were. All right. Let's read a couple super chats. Hope they're sending us some serious coinage now that I need the gas money. Marilyn with $2 says California's loss, Austin's gain. I hope you mean Stone Cold Steve Austin. Marilyn with $5 says it hurts the poor the most, I think referring to the abortion thing. It's expensive to travel and clandestine abortions are often dangerous. Kiana with $5 says, I live in Texas, born and raised. On the playground is where I spent most of my days. I'm kidding. She didn't say that part. She says, I live in Texas, born and raised. I don't think this law is going to last long. If it does well, then get me out of here. Also, hi to all. Hi, Kiana. Yeah, maybe I'm naive, but I just don't take this law very seriously. But maybe I'm way, way off the mark. Christopher with $2.79 Canadian says, why are films shooting in Canada so much? Is it incentives that they're providing?
That's such a random question, considering the topic, right? Yeah, because of incentives. They get tax breaks. I think the currencies, American dollar goes farther in Canada than it does here. And they can hire Canadian actors on the cheap, the dailies and some of the recurring folks. They have a different union out there and their pay scale's far lower than SAG. So yeah, they get all kinds of perks.
There's something perverse about how in this mixed economy, a politician or a political party can say like, we're going to bring you prosperity. And like, we're going to allow these businesses, these sectors to advance, but not these others. But nonetheless, I'm happy to see some industry booming. Hugh James with 99 pence. Thank you for that. Damien Alaska with 99 cents. And then Hugh James with 179 pounds says, Rucka Ali and Joe Rogan. I see it happening. That makes one of us, Hugh. That makes one of us. All right. But Joe Rogan is out there. And I think this speaks to the intellectual environment. Not that I really consider Joe to be that smart, but like a lot of his guests are scientists and all that stuff. Lex Fridman, who's definitely a rising force to be reckoned with in this sort of world of centrist secularists. He's in Austin as well.
Oh, really?
Michael Malice is in Austin now.
So Michael moved from New York to Austin. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. And wait, and you said Joe Rogan's there too?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh shit. All right. Well, now.
And he basically like took the comedy crew with him. Like he kind of told a bunch of comedians to move out there with him. So like I just, I stayed next to the Comedy Store last night at a hotel, and there's like nobody there. And the lockdowns and the lack of travel, I think, are a big part of that. It's not that there's no comedians in this town, but it's just not the same, So like, Austin is just where the world has moved.
Where were you? Were you at the Standard, the Chateau, or what?
The Andes.
Okay.
I've always wanted to stay there. It's it's a very luxurious place, and I was like, you know what better place to spend my final night in LA? So I stayed there, and it was also a cult classic movie called Windy City Heat. Had a hotel room scene in the Andes. Is that a smile like that movie?
Yeah, but I'm trying to.
Have you? Do you know Jimmy Kimmel at all? Have you been on his show?
Yeah, yes, I have.
Because I've heard he shows everyone that movie. Like he basically,
really,
yeah, he's got a big poster of it, which I've seen when I was at his office once. But like he tells all his friends and all his guests, like, watch Windy City Heat. So it was on Comedy Central in 2003. It aired like 4 times, like after midnight, so they can have swearing and all that.
Do you know Bobcat Goldthwait?
Yeah, he's the director of it, and also he plays a director in it. It's like a fake reality, like it's one big prank on this guy. You got to see this. Okay, you got to watch this. Windy City Heat, and one of the scenes is shot in the Andes, so I wanted to stay there especially. Yeah.
Yeah, lots. Well, no wonder Jimmy Kimmel pushes it. He's in it. Lots of cool comedians in this thing. All right, nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Adam Carolla has a cameo. A lot happening, and it's all that whole project that gave birth to that movie is the brainchild of Don Barris. Don Barris, who is this legendary comic at the Comedy Store. He would like close every night before the pandemic. He was like reliably there every single day of the week, every day. And he's the opening warm-up comic for Jimmy Kimmel Live. So he's an institution and a legend. We got Allison with $2 saying, Mark, why Puerto Rico?
Because I want to live in Iran's shadow. No, just because, I mean, Iran doesn't make the infrastructure sound very good. There's power outages all the time. The roads don't seem to be in very good condition, but they have special perks for, non-Puerto Rican Americans who come in and choose to live there. And those perks are undeniably great. I think they're better than any of the states themselves. I mean, I think you wind up only paying something in the neighborhood of 4% in tax. That you can do an incredible amount if you could for your life and for the lives of people you value by being able to keep 96% of what you earn.
Now, you do need to prove that you're in Puerto Rico, like at least more than half the year. Like you actually have an app where you need to track where you are. And if you travel a lot for work, maybe that'll work in your favor where they can give you an exemption, or maybe it'll work against you where they're like, no, you need to actually be in Puerto Rico. So,
yeah, that would, okay. I didn't know that. That's definitely something to consider.
To inquire about, because like I said, they might give you an exemption for your job or not. But yeah, and since you're married, like kind of living on an island probably would be fine. But to me, like it doesn't feel like American culture to move to Puerto Rico. I don't know who I would meet out there or what friends I would have. It just doesn't seem like an American city or American island. I want to live in America, so I'm gonna.
It would force me to speak Spanish, which I love learning languages. So I would have to learn to speak Spanish as a primary language, and then that would mean that eventually I would have 3 languages. To
I wish they would speak French. I've always liked that language. Which reminds me, so I've been watching Mad Men, kind of watching it at my pace, and then watching TV Talk accordingly. And the most recent TV Talk I saw was for seasons 4 and 5. You stood up against everyone saying you like Megan, Don's hot wife. I like
Yeah.
her as well. I don't know why Rozzy was being so
Oh,
so negative.
because she threw a plate of spaghetti against the wall. Number one, he didn't like that she just cooked a plain ass plate of spaghetti. But as far I'm sort of the cook in my family, but I would love that. I would consider it an amazing gesture on the part of my wife, who is working in her own right as a soap opera star, to come home and make dinner for me, to be with me. I would have enjoyed that very much. And so he took that as a bad thing, that she can't cook, which she can. She can cook lots of things. They've already said that in the show. And that she threw the plate of spaghetti against the wall, which now I guess it's a deal breaker for Ozzy, but for me, living amongst passionate actors, that's just a day in the life of anybody I know. You wouldn't be normal if you didn't throw a plate of spaghetti against the wall sometimes. Look at my Twitter. I'm throwing plates of spaghetti against people's faces every day. It's just sort of normal. And she's beautiful, and she's sort of worldly. She gets him, she knows him and accepts him, and she recognizes the good in him. I don't know. He blew it. He blew it big time with Megan.
He blows it with every woman.
He does.
Time and time again, he's got all these very refined and sweet ladies in his life that they want nothing but to grow with him along spiritual lines. And in case after case, he yells at them, gets angry at them, and punishes them for nothing and cheats on them. So yeah, Megan threw a plate of spaghetti after he didn't show up, after years of them being married and him cheating on her, which she could, you can always sense on some level when someone's lying to you and hiding something, or just not opening up to you. I mean, she knows on some level that he's unfaithful. So like, yeah, in that context, she threw a plate of spaghetti. Oh, dear Lord, how will the world ever survive? Right. So
as far as I'm concerned, she could have done much worse and been within the bounds of sanity.
Yeah. She's a babe. So I'm a fan. And that's, I guess we can close off the final California episode on that note. After a couple announcements, today's schedule, we got this show, and then we're going to jump over to Clubhouse for a little bit. Then at 6:25 p.m. UK time, the after show. No, that's literally what I just said. All right. Then at 7 p.m. UK time. So coming up at the bottom of this hour, Enjoy Parenting with Lisa Van Dam.
Yay.
And then at 7:30, Enjoy Parenting after show on Clubhouse. Then at 8 p.m. UK time, the Communication Boot Camp with Don Watkins. And that is for members only. So all of you non-members, first of all, you make me sick. Second of all, you should join and become a better communicator, like Don. Then at 10 p.m. UK time, it's
I want to say something
Please.
About the boot camp for the members. Yeah. Any members watching, you are missing out if you don't take advantage of Don Watkins. He's a fantastic thinker, a great writer, and a great communicator. What you should do is produce something for him to critique. Don't be afraid, or if you're afraid, it's all right, but do it anyway. Get up there and stick your neck out and be critiqued by the guy. It's good for you.
Yeah, I mean, Don Watkins, people don't understand the value they get on this network. We got Don Watkins, who is an enormously talented and knowledgeable speaker and writer. Lisa Van Dam, I mean, good, find out what it costs to have her, speak to you or to send your kid to her school. Find out what that costs, and then consider that you get to watch her show for free here. And see if it's worth your time. And we got so much happening here. I mean, Mark Pellegrino, for Christ's sake, I imagine booking you is not the cheapest thing in the world. So we got a lot of stuff here people are getting. And all we ask is that you consider becoming a member. All right, 10 p.m. UK time. It's Life on Earth with Robert and Amy Nasser. Liberals take on the libs. Sounds like they're going to be approaching the whole liberal versus leftist thing. Anyway, we'll find out, won't we? At 10:30 p.m. UK time, they will jump over to Clubhouse for the Life on Earth after show, or After Life on Earth. All right, Dylan behind the scenes says there are a couple more super chats at the end. Thank you. I almost forgot. First of all, we got Vegard Bug with 100 knocks from Norway. Is that NOKs? It looks like a lot, but it's probably worth
Crohn's,
I guess.
Do you say Crohn's?
It's NOK. Yeah.
Or is that an intestinal disease?
Good question. He sent over 100 of them, and he
Huh?
says he's chipping in for my moving expenditures. Thank you. With that, I can probably buy 1 gallon of gas. Thank you for that. And Tacey with $7 says, oh, American. Nice. Finally have Americans around here. Think of the irony. West Side Story and song America, which calls Puerto Rico the pits and New York City New Hope, and now it's reversed. Slightly sad. Yeah, it's the West Side Story. They came here from Puerto Rico, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Well, times have changed, haven't they? All right. Thank you all for joining us today. Hopefully I'll be back on the show nice and bushy-eyed and bushy-tailed next week on Monday if my drive goes smoothly. If not, ask Biden to finish building that wall to avoid further catastrophe. But yeah, I'll be driving along the coast, not the coast, the border. Keep me in your prayers, please. And then I'll hopefully be back here Monday. And if not, I'll certainly be back here on Thursday where we're going to debate. Sounds like we're planning on doing that. We're going to debate something. I'm not sure what, but it's going to be part of the boot camp or something, right?
Yeah.
Or it's going to be a promotion. Yeah, go.
Well, no, I don't know what we're going to do for this show, but after this show, we're going to be part of Don Watkins' boot camp, and we're going to be debating for the communication boot camp. So we're going to get critiqued.
Okay, boy, I better start practicing speaking without like it's gonna be a challenge, but that's what life is all about. Zalmi with $4.99. Thank you for that. Thank you everybody for the super chats. With all of your generous donations, I will be able to buy 2 gallons of gas. And with all that being said, thank you. We're going to jump over to Clubhouse for a little bit. And then remember, there's lots happening here the rest of today. So look forward to that and be here for it. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Have fun in California. That's all I can say. Yeah. But hey, remember, there's a great sale happening at CVS Pharmacy right now. Grab some extra toothpaste. All right.
I'm ready.
See you on Clubhouse.
Okay.
And goodbye.